And when you're in a place of lack or you're around negative people or in negative situations, you're going to get pulled down into negativity before you're going to pull those other people or those circumstances up into positivity. Back in 2015, I bought my first BMW. I was fired up. Space gray 2015 X5 50i, one of a kind. One of a kind. It was awesome. Went all the way down to Jacksonville, Florida to go get it. Tinted out windows. Awesome. Thing was fast, 400 and some odd horsepower. Crazy. I was turning in a Nissan Altima, right? I was super happy about turning in a Nissan Altima for a 50i. I'd finally made it to that point, right? So cool. Nobody else has one. Was driving back from Jacksonville. Guess what I see? BMW X5 space gray 50i's on the road everywhere that I never saw before, but suddenly they're all around me. I think when we start to see things, we start to realize how common they are. And when we start to see things in our head and we start to imagine how difficult life is, all we see is difficulty around us, right? If you drive a blue car, you probably see a lot of blue cars. If you drive a white car, you probably see a lot of white cars, right? What you make common in your life becomes even more common. I was at the Four Seasons on the Big Island in Hawaii last month. Oh, what an awesome trip. Got to be there with my brother, with another gentleman from work. You know what I saw at the Four Seasons at this place that's $2,000 a night? Other people. It blew my mind. I was like, this place is too expensive. There has to only be like one other person who could be here. When I signed my son up for soccer a few years ago, it's $1,000 per season for him to play soccer. And then I've got to get him cleats, and then I've got to get him this. It cost me, and then we got to travel around so he can play on this team. We paid, but then we have to pay for our travel. We got to pay all these expenses. I mean, this is like a $2,500 a season gig for him to play soccer. There can't be many kids on there. There were like 30 kids on his team. It was blowing my mind, right? I think what success is a perspective. I think it's a perspective. And when we get in alignment, we don't create it, but when we get in alignment with the perspective of success, right, which is having more, and when we get in alignment with the truth of fulfillment, which is needing less, we start to notice how common it is. And when things become common, what we understand is it's then our job to create more, to make it even more common for other people so that they see that they can take a step up too. We open the door and not really lower the threshold, but just let people know that it's safe to take the nenext step. And in fact, they'll need to so that they don't get smothered by safety. Right, so that they can be courageous and step up with us. I think that when you need something, it arrives. When you have something, you see that everybody else has it too. And when you're in a place of lack or you're around negative people or in negative situations, that you're going to get pulled down into negativity before you're going to pull those other people or those circumstances up into positivity. And so you have to be in a situation where you're regularly refueling and refilling that cup. And I think that's what most people do. The mistake that most people make. They start their day off with people needing something from them rather than having something to give. So if we start the morning off by doing gratitude work, doing the whole life formula that we have, all of a sudden you set a perspective for how you're going to see the rest of the day. Because if you start with setting a perspective of gratitude and aligning with the truth of I don't need very much in order for life to be great, right? Then all of a sudden that becomes very common and you begin to expect it, right? But it's a habitual way of thinking, just like negativity is, just like poverty is, just like sickness is, just like all those things. And I don't think all of those things are in our head. I think a lot of those things start there.